tell me Ted's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. And party at the park playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case, why I see it around. Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. It's been quite a while since I posted on this channel. This channel's dead. It is dead and buried, but I wanted to test the algorithm. I wanted to poke at the algorithm because I've been posting those sus parodies that I would make every once in a while. You guys remember probably the biggest one I did a few years back with The Rock. It's about dick, it's about penis. Men are from Mars, but I'm from Venus. And so I've been doing some pretty consistently on Instagram and posting them on here, and the channel has been reviving because of the shorts. Like, thousands of subscribers are pouring in and like probably over 1 million views or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. Let's see how it reflects if I just post a regular video. Let's see if it actually has any algorithmic, benefit. I doubt it. I doubt it very seriously, but why not just test it, especially with a really hot topic when it comes to Drake and Kendrick. So many of you probably don't know that I'm actually a huge fan of hip hop, because pretty much any time I'm mentioning music, it happens to do with like metal and the products that I've been involved in. But I've actually been involved in hip hop, not as much as metal and punk, but almost just as much. I've done a bunch of projects over the years. None of them have become prominent or anything. I've never really put any heart and soul into in the way that, say, oh, I've been in some pretty big projects when it comes to the metal side. But things that I've just been passionate about, and they were just under the radar, little local things. And the latest thing was a couple years ago, I just was messing with some lo-fi beats.
My little friend, yes, I'm here to fucking shine. Polish all these rhymes, all these little thoughts are running through my mind. And I'm not just a trend, I will not play pretend. I am here to offend, let's get it.
It's still something that I kind of want to do. I was thinking, oh man, I kind of want to collab with a lo-fi artist, or maybe just gather like some lo-fi beats and make sure I can get permission to use them from the producers and whatnot, and then maybe make some stuff like that, because that's kind of my favorite vibe when it comes to hip-hop as of late. But I digress. I know you guys have heard everything there is to hear about the beef between Drake and Kendrick. J. Cole was in it for just a little teeny bit, but then J. Cole was like, what am I doing? This is really stupid. This is not a good idea. And it just made sense, because J. Cole is a likable guy. Everybody likes J. Cole. And so it's just weird for him to try and insert himself into this, to where all of a sudden, Kendrick, maybe even Drake, would have to find some stuff to say negatively about him, when really, what's there negative to say about J. Cole? I'm sure everybody has demons and stuff like that, but kind of in the way that Kendrick is somewhat of a mystery, but here's a good opportunity for people to maybe find some spooky stuff about him. And so far, and maybe not even so far, it just seems like at the end of the day, maybe there's not going to be anything too spicy, because when it came to the beef, the best Drake really had is that, you're an abuser, and it's all alleged. But it pales in comparison to all the things that we can criticize Drake for. So from the very beginning, it was just a weird thing to even to go after this, to even really participate in this for Drake. I thought this was the weirdest thing he could do, because when you think about it, he lost to Pusha T. Most people, before their beef, had no idea who Pusha T was. No idea. And Pusha T destroyed Drake. And Drake has done great with beefs as well. Everybody knows back to back, blah, 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 blah. But when you're coming to a master lyricist and storyteller like Kendrick Lamar, it's like, why would you even take it? Why would you even try? And all of the things that people were already throwing at his way, you knew it was going to come out, and then it's going to hold more water, because people really respect Kendrick. So I thought it was really strange. And everything, and here's the unfortunate thing, everything that Kendrick has come out with has stuck, and everything that Drake has come out with is just been forgettable. It doesn't matter how good it's been, how decent it's been. His tracks, let's just say, Drake's tracks have not been trash. Some people have been saying that. I disagree, but just not good enough. There has been nothing that has been considered good enough. Nothing, especially on the latter stages. Pretty much Euphoria, everybody, it's like a number one track, which is kind of insane. And then Not Like Us is a bop. There are video footages. There's videos of people just dancing to this shit. And it's like dancing to it, calling Drake a PDF file. By the way, I normally don't like the censorship of words where people are like infantilizing the words when people say things like essay and whatnot, but there's something about PDF file that actually I think is pretty clever and hilarious. It's like, how come I never thought of that? So I'm just gonna fast forward to where it was left at, right? Not Like Us, which was just a banger, certified, and a lot of bombs were dropped, and obviously just the allegations on Drake just, you know, doing some really creepy stuff. And the thing is, there's no evidence to support it except for we've seen Drake do some really questionable things. And I think one of the most prominent things is just being friends with Millie Bobby Brown, where it's like, bro, Drake, you're way too old to be texting with this teenager, and she said that you were giving her advice on like with boys and stuff. Like, excuse me?
We just texted each other the other day, and he was like, I miss you so much. I was like, I miss you more.
Hey, yo! Like, that's already enough to just be weird, man. Like, outside of it being like your family, like your sister or cousin that may be asking you some advice, it's just weird outside of that. There's just no other way to look at it. It's like, bro, why are you even doing this? Even if you feel like you were doing nothing wrong, if you were just trying to be like, I just wanted to insert myself and be like this father or brother figure, it's like, bro, that's just not your role. It's never gonna look good, bro. It's just not gonna look good, so you just shouldn't do it. Did it, and so it just lends credence to Kendrick making accusations, things that may be extremely slanderous and may be completely untrue, but in the public sphere, you see what Drake has done, and there's other questionable things I'm not going to get into, but that's just something that will stick in people's minds, especially when you have amazing wordplay. When you talk about striking a chord in A minor, I'm like, that is, the layers on it is so amazing in Not Like Us. And unfortunately, Drake has not done anything that was nearly that clever, especially when it came to, well, I will say, From the Heart Part 6 is a little bit clever. That is a little bit clever right there, kind of just stepping on Kendrick's toes. If Kendrick wanted to make a From the Heart Part 6, that already kind of messes that up, right? So that was kind of brilliant, but that's about it. That's not nearly as good as anything. And then in that song, Drake was trying to claim that, oh, we fed you all this misinformation. So the things about having an 11-year-old daughter and having the foresight that he was going to call you a PDF file and all this stuff, like you knew about all this, but you also didn't have any receipts or anything recorded like this was set up prior. Like you knew, like you were doing 4D chess, but you have no evidence of it. That's so stupid. That is so stupid, which lets us know that most likely that is false. He talks about, oh, you've been lying about everything and everything I've been saying is true. I just wait, I did you this favor and I'm just hoping that, you'll return the favor by being honest. And I'm like, I don't think you were being honest, Drake. I think you're just trying to, do a little bit of damage control with all of the allegations, what's been going on. I think that is just like, oh man, I gotta really address this and say this multiple times that I'm not about this. And he's too famous. Like, I think he was insinuating that I'm so famous that something would have come out by now, but that's stupid. That is a dumb thing to say when a lot of really prominent celebrities where things have been an open secret until there's a catalyst, right? And then there's always conspiracy theorists that think the catalyst is like something nefarious as far as like, oh, these people are lying on this person and it's just this and it's the Illuminati or it's whatever, something stupid. Like people were doing that to Russell Brand. Some people were saying that to Diddy at first. Some people were even saying that about Cosby. It's like, oh, it's the powers that be because he's trying to, and I'm like, dude, no. There's a lot of terrible people out there. There's a lot of people that have a lot of power and they're predators. And then it takes some good people to finally stand up and then give other people courage to finally come out and say something. And then it's like an avalanche of information and accusations and allegations and whatnot. And so that's how it typically happens. And then people saying, oh, how come this happened out of nowhere? It's like, no, it's not just out of nowhere. It's been happening for decades or a very long time. And then people are finally coming out and saying something. It's just, I mean, it's obvious. That's obvious. A lot of people keeping these things dark, these secrets, like just out of the public sphere. They don't want to relive it. They don't want to think about it. But now they see the opportunity to take somebody down. They will step up and finally do it. It's like the Spartacus effect, right? So I don't think there's anything like that. But I'm not even saying that's what's going to happen with Drake. But I was just, my point being that him being famous, like something should have came out already, is stupid. That's idiotic. We've already seen this over and over of people getting away with this for so long. And now this leads me to a shooting that took place outside of Drake's Toronto home. And this is the thing that I was like, oh, especially so quickly after the beef kind of subsided, where it kind of looked like you saw some TDE, I think it was the TDE's Twitter saying that was a great beef, essentially. That was a great battle. Almost kind of putting a stamp on it, like it's done. Like Kendrick's probably not going to release anything else. He could. I mean, ball's in his court. He could finish Drake off, but maybe it's like, whatever. Like it went too far anyway, because it kind of did. The kind of stuff that was being said, unfortunately, people have been, people have had their lives ended over much less than that. I don't like that. I absolutely hate that. I hate how triggered people get and how childish they are, and how a lot of people will resort to pulling out their pistols over the dumbest stuff. I mean, one of the members of Migos, right, is gone over, what was it? I think they were gambling or something. When you just think about something like that, I think about the many road rage incidents or anything like that where people just have this, oh, you cut me off, now I'm gonna chase you down and shoot. Like, what is wrong with people? People do stuff like this over way lesser than the type of words that were exchanged in this beef. And we gotta ask, man, is this, and I'm not saying it's Pusha T's fault, because the person that got into the gun dispute and all the stuff that's been going on afterwards, he didn't do anything about that, but Pusha T taking it to a level where it got so personal with exposing, Drake's son. Is it expected? Is this how it has to go? Does it have to get to that level? Like, say, even when it came to something like Eminem and what was that idiot's name? Machine Gun Kelly, where there was a teeny bit of mention of some family stuff, but nothing like really focusing on it. Nothing like Meet the Grams, where Kendrick is addressing Drake's family, which was like, it's so high key disrespectful, man. It's so villainous. Now, a lot of people would say it's just words at the end of the day, but that's so stupid, man. I don't like when people say like, oh, it's just words. I'm like, bro, almost everything just starts with just words. Really, when you think about it, any like major violence or instances, usually stuff doesn't just happen out of nowhere without words being said prior. Even when it comes to major wars, usually something was stated, something was like, we're doing this, or you can't do this, or I'm gonna, whatever it is. And then it leads to conflicts that leads to bigger conflicts and whatnot. So words are very heavy. And so disrespecting people's family when family is so sacred to so many people. Obviously, where else was this gonna go? And now, because of the internet and parasocial relationships, people are crazier than ever. They always feel like they have to defend people's honor, that immediately a shooting took place. It's like we were thinking, dang, at some point probably this is going to happen. Probably when these dudes go on tour, there's probably going to be some crap happening, or something's going to go down. But just days after the last song, From the Heart Part 6 was dropped, and then in front of Drake's home, and all of a sudden now I'm sure Drake probably not feeling that safe. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs about it. I don't really care. That's not the point of knowing exactly what happened. It's just the fact that something even happened in general. It's like, bro, ruining what could just be a good exercise in artistry. Because it would almost be cool to see that in other genres. And I will say, it kind of happened in metal a long time ago. There's bands called Amir and the Acacia Strain. Now, the lead singers, Vincent and Frankie, were beefing at one point. I think this might have been like, I don't know, 2008, 2009. It's somewhere around that time. But these dudes legitimately wrote songs about each other. And it was crazy. It was a crazy time to have a a full-length album, have an LP feature a song, not like, say, just drop in a single, right? Like, say, usually what happens when it comes to rap beef, but just actually having these songs baked into their albums. And to really put things into perspective, the Acacia Strain made a music video with the song. To the point where just... because, like, you know, Frankie from Amir and I guess some of the other guys, but mainly Frankie, was being accused of being, like, culture vultures. And so then they got these black dudes, like they were performing on stage, like they were playing metal, and it was supposed to represent Amir. And it was it was a time to be alive, man. It got to the point where I guess they even got to a fight at one point. But, you know, since the culture is very different, it's just a bunch of fucking nerds. Nothing too crazy happened. Yeah, there's a lot of terrible people in the metal scene where they would make these crews and they would beat people up, and it was awful. But it wasn't anything too insane. Most of the people were just giant nerds. And eventually the beef got squashed. They actually did a tour together. I remember being at one of the shows. I think I was in Santa Ana. It was Acacia Strain versus Amir tour or whatever. And so it was nice that the beef subsided. It was over. It was done. And that was it. But when it comes to hip-hop, when it comes to hip-hop culture, when it comes to black culture and masculinity, it's harder for people to let things go. And then when you have that pairing with the parasocial relationship, with the access to people's social media, and you feel like you're more connected to celebrities now more than ever, I guess I understand how a shooting took place so much faster than anything you would have suspected it to happen. You know, like, people did expect violence to break out at some point, because it's like, where do you go from here? But so fast for it to happen, I was like, yo, that was way too quick, man. So that was really unfortunate, because even, like, say, I was looking forward to, like, somebody made they made mods. They called it the Def Jam pack, because if anybody remembers Def Jam, Vendetta, Def Jam Fight for New York. We're not going to talk about Def Jam Icon. That was absolute hot garbage. But yeah, so you had all those rappers, like, just beating the crap out of each other. And so it was cool to put Drake and Kendrick in Mortal Kombat 1. So I downloaded that immediately, you know, slapped the mods and started playing with it. And I was going to post it on my Instagram. I posted on my story, but I was going to post it as a reel and, like, see, oh, this will probably go viral, because my Insta, everything's been going viral on my Instagram right now. But because of the shooting, I was like, it just kind of took the winds out of the sail. Because I'm like, this isn't just fun anymore. Some idiot, some people just had to take it to that level, which some people are saying inevitably was going to get there. And then now it's just not fun anymore. And now, most definitely, I don't think they're going to continue this beef anymore. Like, why would you? So at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like any lessons are going to be learned, though, because at some point, this is going to happen again, but not in a very long time to this certain extent, because, I mean, the biggest rappers in the world right now, Drake, the second biggest artist in the world right behind Taylor Swift, and Kendrick, just the greatest, arguably, of all time, really. I think that's actually not even that, I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. Definitely the best rapper alive, but possibly even all time. I think a lot of people would agree. As of right now, I know I would definitely put him in top 3. I'm just saying. And it'll be a long time before anything of this magnitude would ever happen ever again. You know, like, there's gonna have to be artists that are gonna have to be like, when is that gonna happen? There really isn't that much of a direction of the direction of music and hip hop right now is not really focused on being a legend. It's really just about making hits. And that, to be honest, that's mainly what Drake has focused on, to where he's collabed with everyone that's famous. I mean, in every genre and in different, like, languages and whatnot. So he's just doing his thing. And look, I don't even hate Drake as an artist. I think he is a corny human being for sure. To be honest, I just don't really respect him as a rapper. If you know, a lot of people may be mad about that, but I think, like, what was that song, You the Best? Or I think he was okay. And on that song, what was it, Over? I think he was okay back then. I kind of believed him a little bit more. It felt more realistic. And then as he got older, he just feels more like, you don't seem authentic at all. You seem like you're trying to pretend to be somebody. You're trying to be like Like, oh, you've been spending a lot of time in Atlanta, kind of like what Kendrick has been hinting towards, where it's like, yes, you are a black man, but you know, you didn't grow up in this black American culture, and now you're trying to pretend like you have. Now you're saying the N-word every other sentence, and it's just like, you didn't used to do that. So when was this switch? It just seems completely authentic. But I will say, him as a singer, always respected. I've always thought this dude should be the renaissance of a new era of R&B. I've always thought that this dude should be like, because R&B was so dominated in the 90s, a little bit in the early 2000s. And I feel like this dude could heavily bring it back in the way that The Weeknd did, which I knew from the beginning when my friend showed me The Weeknd back in like 2011, showed me The Birds Part 2, and I was like, this dude is it. And then look where he ended up. And I felt the same way, like, say, Drake doing Hold On, We're Going Home. That should have been his lane. Or say Hotline Bling. Like, do this always. Stop trying to rap like you're hard, because you're not. You don't sound good doing it. Some people just don't sound good doing it because they just don't have what it takes to sound authentic. You know, like, as much as Jack Harlow, for example, is an industry plant, he sounds more authentic rapping than when Drake does to me. Some people might be very offended by that, because I'm not saying that I'm like, oh, some big fan of Jack Harlow. I actually don't care about him at all. Like, not even a little bit. I actually don't know one of his songs. I know he did that song with who's the gay rapper? Lil Nas X. He did that song. I don't know any of his music, but when I hear him, and I've heard him in verses, I'm like, this guy, I believe him. You know what I'm saying? Even if he is fake, he sounds good. And Drake to me has never sounded that way. And I'm like, bro, just sing, man. And then you wouldn't have to worry about none of this. You wouldn't have to worry about your street cred or any of that shit, man. No one would give a fuck. Because when it came to R&B, nobody cared about that. Like, when you see the most prominent R&B stars and the singers, was anybody worried about that? They were just like, no, this dude can sing his ass off. This dude knows how to get the ladies. I'm going to put these slow jams on to get my girl in the mood. And I'm like, why not go that route? Why do you feel like you have to be hard? Who gives a shit? You didn't grow up that way. You're Degrassi guy. Like, come on. But yeah, that's all I pretty much got to say on this subject. I know I'm not normally going to talk about hip hop. I may post some of my projects on here if I get around to them, but I did want to focus on just posting my projects, like music in general, commenting on music in general. And I've actually been thinking about bringing back Twitter trash. You know, I kind of miss cracking jokes. I talked about that on Instagram. And I was asking people to let me know if you think I should bring it back. And there was overwhelming support. And so if you think I should try to bring it back, hit me up in the comments. You can also hit me up on Instagram in the DM specifically, because the traffic on the regular notifications are absolutely, it's just the traffic's nonstop. So I may catch your DMs, replies to stories or something like that. That's pretty much it. And also let me know what you think about this story. And do you think that maybe things might even get worse as far as violence goes? I want to see your guys' takes and reaction to this. Thank you for watching, listening, and have yourself a wonderful day, guys.